the original Star Wars trilogy was a major success, both critically and financially. Adjusted for inflation, Episode 4, A New Hope, would be the fourth highest grossing movie of all time. And The Empire Strikes Back is the 20th highest rated movie on IMDb. However, there was a desire from fans of the series to see more Star Wars movies, and along with George Lucas wanting to make more Star Wars movies, Lucas began writing the prequel trilogy in 1994. This trilogy would see the fall of Anakin Skywalker from a Jedi hero into the formidable Sith Darth Vader. The first film in this trilogy, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, began filming in 1997, and by 1999, the film was released. The hype for this film was absolutely insane, as so far, there had yet to be a disappointing Star Wars movie. The most diehard Star Wars fans even went to random movies just to see the trailers for The Phantom Menace. This thing was a huge event, and by the fact that it made nearly $1 billion, this film was a huge success. Financially, that is. Critically, the film was pretty mixed. Some fans loved it, some fans really didn't. As you can see, some fans loved the film, however, some were quite unhappy. Now, let's see if this film is not very good, or it's actually really good. The opening title crawl, infamous to every Star Wars movie, tells us that the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to Naboo, and they're blockading the planet. This is a very bold choice for a Star Wars movie. In the original trilogy, politics weren't heavily mentioned, only briefly in A New Hope with the disbanding of the Senate, and in Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back with the Emperor. I've gotta be honest, I really think the whole trade disputes are really boring and are poorly done in this film. I'm all for space politics, but can you at least make the space politics fun? It's so boring. The opening title crawl also tells us that Chancellor Valorum has sent 2 Jedi Knights to negotiate with the Trade Federation. These knights are Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Funny thing about this movie, the first time I watched it, I didn't know until halfway through that was Obi-Wan Kenobi. I must have mixed it. I thought he was some random Jedi. Just thought that was kind of funny to share. I really want to like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon in this movie, but they just aren't focused on heavily enough. I usually think Liam Neeson is a great actor. He's great in Schindler's List, but his performance isn't fantastic. I mean, it's not bad. There's definitely worse performances in this film, but it's just nowhere near his peak in Schindler's List or Batman Begins, to be honest. And Obi-Wan, I think, is hardly in the movie. He's in, a couple scenes, at the beginning and the end, but for the middle chunk of the movie and, the second act, he's basically just staying on the ship with the Queen, who's not actually the Queen, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, once the Jedi board the ship, the Trade Federation chickens out because they're a bunch of wussies, and they call Darth Sidious to ask for advice. Darth Sidious basically says, blow up the ship they came on for some reason, maybe so they can't escape, I don't know, and also kill them. So they send poisonous gas into the room where the Jedi are stationed, and then, once they think the gas has killed them, they send in battle droids to finish them off. However, the Jedi survived, and we see their cool lightsabers ignite in the fog of the poisonous gas, and we get a really good action sequence, pretty good action, slicing up the droids. Then they get to the place where the Nemoidians are. Qui-Gon sticks his lightsaber into the blast doors and tries to open it. I think that scene is awesome. It's peak Star Wars, unlike the rest of this film. But then they send droidekas, so they have to run away. at seemingly the speed of light for some reason. Why do they run so fast in that scene? Anyway, what I forgot to mention, and I'm too lazy to edit this, that Darth Sidious also told the Trade Federation to invade Naboo and make the Queen of Naboo sign a peace treaty that makes their invasion illegal. So then Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go to the hangar where all the droids are loading into tanks and being sent down to Naboo, and they sneak aboard one of these vessels. On the surface of Naboo, the Jedi are running away from those tanks that are destroying the Naboo wildlife when they meet the worst Star Wars character, in this trilogy at least, who is Jar Jar Binks. I know, everyone knows he's annoying, but I really hate him so much. He isn't funny, he isn't entertaining, he's ugly as hell, and I wish he didn't exist, and he serves zero purpose. Although, people really shouldn't have sent death threats to the actor who played him. That's not cool. Don't send death threats to people. Like, that's bad. Death threats are bad. Jar Jar then says that he owes Qui-Gon a life debt for saving him, which isn't saying much because the dialogue in this film is absolutely horrible. They sound like they're trying to be way too serious, and no one ever talks like that in real life. It doesn't make any sense. Jar Jar then suggests that they go to the Gungan city, but he was banished for being a Sith Lord. I mean, clumsy. We all know he's a Sith Lord, but George never gave us that version. The backlash was too much. Anyway, at the city, they are immediately detained by the Gungan authorities. Qui-Gon then uses a Jedi mind trick on King Boss Nass of the Gungans to give them a submarine to go through the planet core to get to Theed, the capital of Naboo, where the Queen is being held captive by the Trade Federation. And also free Jar Jar for some reason. I kind of wish they just left him. The movie would almost be better, and maybe be good. Who knows? But they didn't leave him there, which would have been fantastic if they left him there. Sorry, I just really hate Jar Jar. While on the submarine through the planet core, they are nearly swallowed by a fish. But then there was a bigger fish to eat that fish. And then they eventually get to Theed, where the Queen is forcibly being held. Then they break in, do their Jedi shenanigans, and Jar Jar's also there. And then they kill the droids and free the Queen. And then they go to the hangar where the Queen's ship is, so they can leave. While we're talking about the Queen, we should discuss Queen Amidala. She's not the best in this movie. And it's a shame because Natalie Portman's a good actor. She's just really boring and pointless. I mean, I guess the only reason Padme is in the whole Star Wars prequel trilogy is because of, we need someone for Anakin to fall in love with, even though there is a 5-year age difference between them in this movie. Like, she's supposedly 14 and Anakin's 9. It's a bit creepy, to be honest. She probably would be on Space Epstein list. That's besides the point. Anyway, the hangar is guarded by droids. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan cut up some droids. And then they go to the ship, but then the ship gets shot at and takes damage. So they send out droids to fix the ship. The only droid that survives and fixes the ship is R2-D2. Might be important later on, just gotta get the nostalgia in there already. Pretty shameless of them. However, the hyperdrive still isn't working, so they have to go to a planet which has no Trade Federation presence, Tatooine. Anyway, on Tatooine, Padme, Qui-Gon, R2, and Jar Jar, for some reason, they could have just sent Obi-Wan in instead, they had to cram Jar Jar into as many scenes as they could. They go out to find a new hyperdrive and purchase it so they can get back to the Republic capital, Coruscant. While in Mos Eisley, they go into a store run by this mosquito-looking thing, Watto, and the queen's servant, Padme, then strikes up a conversation with Watto's slave, Anakin Skywalker, a 9-year-old child. Why was he made 9 for some reason? I don't know, like, maybe to show that slavery is bad and, like, affects children a lot, but couldn't you have made him, like, a bit older, like 14, 16? I don't know, like, could have been a better idea. Anyway, they try to buy the hyperdrive from Watto, but they don't have the right currency. Credits do not do fine in Tatooine. So, they go back to the ship, but they don't, because they run into Anakin again, because Jar Jar did some stupid thing, and got in beef with some pod racer. Then they learn Anakin's also a pod racer, and Anakin invites the Jedi and everyone else over to dinner with his mom. And for some reason, he built C-3PO, like, as a 9-year-old child. Qui-Gon then notices how special he is, and then takes his midichlorian count. Midichlorians are really dumb, to be honest. Like, there had to have been a better way to explain that Anakin was Force sensitive. Anyway, after that, Qui-Gon then learns about Anakin's pod racing skills, and realizes he can gamble on him to get the money to buy a hyperdrive. So he strikes a deal with Watto, saying if Anakin wins the next pod race, he gets the hyperdrive. We also learned that Anakin is fatherless, like, he had a virgin birth and everything. This is kind of dumb. What is he, like, Jesus or something? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, right before the race starts, Watto and Qui-Gon make another deal, saying if Anakin wins again, he gets to take Anakin with him, because he's going to train him to be a space wizard. Oh yeah, and Qui-Gon also thinks Anakin might be the chosen one, which is lazy writing, because couldn't they have just made him more compassionate or something? I don't know. Just because, oh, he might be chosen and special. No, it's just bad writing. This film's really poorly written. Speaking of bad writing, Anakin, he's horribly written. Like, he's a bit whiny. Like, I don't really like him. Like, it's kind of boring. Doesn't add much. He doesn't really have good chemistry with anyone else either. Maybe Qui-Gon, but he's just, I don't like child acting. Like, if you can avoid it, don't do child acting. So, couldn't they have just made him, like, older? And we get the pod racing scene, which I think is really good. It's very different from anything we've really seen in Star Wars, but it's good action. Pod racing sounds absolutely horrifying. For some reason, we get a Jabba cameo. Anakin wins. Qui-Gon wins his bet. See, this is why you should gamble. Gamble all of your money. 99% of gamblers quit before they win big. Anyway, we then get to see Anakin say goodbye to his mother, which is the only real emotion I felt during this film. Like, it's actually not horribly done, even though Anakin's acting is still not great. And then they mosey their way back to the ship, and then they're attacked by Darth Maul. Darth Maul is 0% character development, 100% aura. Is he a good character? Absolutely not, but he's pretty cool. I mean, he's a good character in Clone Wars, but still pretty far away from Clone Wars. He's not even a character at all. He says 3 lines throughout the entire film. This 2-hour film, the villain says 3 lines. It's crazy. Anyway, on the ship, Anakin meets Obi-Wan for the first time. Took them long enough, like, isn't this whole trilogy supposed to be about how they were brothers and then Anakin turned to the dark side? Like, it kind of seems like that's the point of the trilogy, but they hardly say anything to each other in this film. It's so boring. Like, not boring. Boring is not the word, but I think it's underwhelming, to say the least. They then go to Coruscant, and the politics of this film are really bad. Queen Amidala talks to Senator Palpatine, who's actually Darth Sidious, if you didn't know. I'm sure you knew though, who wants to become chancellor so he can overthrow democracy. So then he suggests to Queen Amidala to have a vote of removing Chancellor Valorum from office. This is really dumb. Like, this whole politics thing is stupid in this movie. It's underwhelming. But couldn't they have just made him already Chancellor? This is unnecessary. I think it's just to, like, pad the runtime. This is basically filler at this point. Like, it's stupid. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan then introduced Anakin to the Jedi Council. But the Jedi Council says he's too old. They like him under the age of 5. Wait. Hey, yeah. In the Senate, Chancellor Valorum is replaced and Chancellor Palpatine, Senator Palpatine becomes Chancellor Palpatine, as he is now Chancellor. Anyway, the Queen, the Jedi, the Gungan, annoying Jar Jar, and the child, Anakin, return to Naboo to defeat the Trade Federation once and for all. On Naboo, the Queen and the Gungans then reach an alliance, where the Gungans go out and fight the battle droids as a distraction, while they try and capture the Nemoidian guy, Viceroy Gunray. I forgot his name. Whoops. Anyway, they head to Theed, at the palace at Theed, where they try and kill the battle droids and capture Newt Gunray. However, the Jedi once again run into Darth Maul. And then the music, Duel of the Fates, starts playing. Dun, 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 dun. And then Maul had the double-sided lightsaber, and that's flippin' awesome. And the duel's awesome, but more on that later. The music's great. Not really much emotion, but just really good choreography. Anyway, they leave Anakin unattended in the hangar, even though he's 9. And he gets in a spaceship to be safe. However, he accidentally turns on autopilot and starts flying into space to try and take down the battleship. Anyway, Padme and her royal guards continue fighting, and then they are captured, unfortunately, by the Viceroy, and are about to be forced into signing the peace deal. And meanwhile, with the Gungans, they are losing to the droids because, and somehow Jar Jar hasn't died yet, which is frankly a miracle because of how clumsy he is. You know what? I believe that excuse for why he got kicked out, even if it was just for him being a Sith Lord. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon continue to fight Maul, and unfortunately, Qui-Gon is struck down by Maul in his aura. However, Obi-Wan is ready for vengeance. However, right before he can kill Maul, he is pushed off and nearly thrown into an endless pit, and he's barely holding on. However, even though he does not have the high ground, he jumps up, force pulls Qui-Gon's lightsaber, and slices Maul in half, seemingly killing him, even though Maul lives, as we know in the Clone Wars, Rebels, frickin' Solo. I haven't seen Solo, actually. Should I see it? Let me know in the comments. At this point, Qui-Gon is nearly dead. However, in his final moments, he asked Obi-Wan to train Anakin, in which Obi-Wan obliges to. Anyway, Anakin somehow accidentally flies inside the battleship of the Trade Federation and somehow destroys the reactor core and the whole thing explodes. It's not the matter that he destroyed it that I'm upset about. He's clearly shown to be a talented pilot. It's that he accidentally did it. It really portrays him as stupid and clumsy, which is unfortunate. Anyway, that deactivates every battle droid, so the Gungans are saved, unfortunately, and so is the Queen and her guards. Anyway, the Viceroy has to surrender. Qui-Gon has a funeral, and Palpatine is now Chancellor. And Obi-Wan follows his promise to Qui-Gon and trains Anakin. And that is a retelling of the Phantom Menace story. Thanks for watching. Oh wait, I need to have like an conclusion to make it not horrible. I'd give this film a 6 out of 10. It's not a good film, but it is still a pretty fun film to watch, even with its major flaws. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope to do one of these on Attack of the Clones, and see you in the next video. Bye.